Welcome back to Learning with Merit. Today we are talking about operators, and specifically we're going to talk about some logical operators that appear in Java. So here we have some of our basic logical operators. This is not a complete list, but it is the most common ones you'll end up using. We have not, which is also called negation. We have a bitwise XOR for exclusive OR. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Then we have the logical AND. It uses two ampersand signs, typically right next to the 7 on the keyboard. So this is logical. We call this conjunction. And then we have two vertical bars or pipe symbols. That's usually right above the return key or enter key on your keyboard. Sometimes it has a little dash in between, but it's usually two vertical lines. This is also called disjunction. So we've got not, XOR, and OR. Now if we look at these, using something called a truth table, it helps us see how these operators evaluate. So not is pretty simple. If we do not true, we should get false. And if we do not false, we should get true. So if I run this real quick, we see false for the first one, and we get true for the second one. So it's just going to do the opposite of whatever we see there. If we run the next one, XOR is what we call exclusive OR. And the way it works is it only returns true if only one of the options is true. So if we look at this, you'll see true XOR true. That should be false because both are in this case true. True XOR false is true. False XOR true is true. And false XOR false is false. So the only times that we return true are the two times here in the middle where only one thing was actually true. If we run that and we highlight these four right here, we've got false, true, true, and false. And of course that makes perfect sense based on what we expected. The next one is the logical AND. So we use two ampersands for this. True and true will return true, and that is the only time we will return true in an AND is when both things are true. Both expressions on either side of the AND are true. The rest of these are false. So as long as there's one false, it's all false. So if we run that, we want to look at these last four right here, and you see true, false, false, false. Makes sense based on what we expected as well. So now if we think about OR is only going to be false if both things are false. So you can think about this very logically. Let's say I have things in my hand, right? If I have something in my left hand and my right hand, that's true or true, that's true, right? So if I say I have something in my left hand or my right hand, and I have something in both of them, it's true. If I say I have something in my left hand or my right hand, and we do my left hand is true, but my right hand is false, it's still true because I said left or right. Same thing in the next case. In this case, it's in my right hand. Because I said left or right, and my right has something, it's also true. And then if I don't have anything in either of my hands, it's going to be false on both, and therefore false over the whole thing. So the only time an OR is false is when both things are false. So if we run this, we're looking for our last four. It's these four right here. We get true, 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 and false, just like we expected. Now let's look at some examples. Here I've defined a variable f with the value 5. So here's our first one. We've got system out print line. This is going to print our evaluation of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate this Boolean expression, and then we're going to evaluate this Boolean expression and see what we get. So is 5 less than 10? True. 5 less than 6? True. So let's see what we get if we run this one. We go all the way to the bottom. That's true. The next one, we've got f is less than 4, so 5 less than 4, that's false. 5 less than 10, that's true. So I've got false or true. Let's run that and see what we get. We get true. The next one, now we've got some stuff in parentheses here. with a not in front of it. So we're going to evaluate all this in here. So we've got 5 less than 4, that's false. We've got 5 less than 1, that's false. False and false is false, but when we put not in front of that, not false is true. Let's run that one, and we get true. Look at the next one. We've got 5 less than 6, true, XOR 5 less than 4. This is false, so we've got true XOR false, which is exactly what we're looking for in an XOR, and that means true for the whole thing. So if we run that one, you'll see we get true again. So each of these will print a true or a false, i.e. they will evaluate to a Boolean value each time. So that's when we're using these logical operators, we are also going to evaluate to a Boolean value. Thank you for watching Learning with Merit.